Hi, it's Julia here at Artful Element Studio.
Tonight I thought I would take a little bit of time, and I'm going to start making a series of different videos to show how to use our new molds. This is some of the new molds that we have. They're just some great pendant molds. They're a little different than our originals, which are our slide molds, but these are designed to utilize these Bezel Bails, and we've got these where they're notched in the mold that when you cast, so this would be the way it is, right? So this is the back side, this is the front side, and then when you cast it, then it just slides into its track, and then there's a space that will allow for you to put in a chain, you know, before you fasten it all down. Put your chain in, and then there's two holes in the back that you can put set screws in if you want, drill and put set screws, or you can just drill a little bit and then add a little bit of adhesive. But anyway, I thought we would make one. So here you can see there's a keychain. These are some different molds that we have. But yeah, so let's get started. So I've got our mold here, and I'm just going to use some UV resin. I've got our Bezel Bail. Got my piece of acrylic that I always like to use to really give me a finished back on my pieces, or finished front. And you can also cast a piece and create the template, and then you can just cut it out to fit inside. And of course you would put it in this direction for most of the time, or you could flip it around. It really depends on how you want this piece to stand out. Okay, so I always like to put a little bit of the resin in our piece first, and not a lot. Just going to get a good coat. It does help if you're, whether you're using UV or a two-part epoxy, it does help if it's warm. Now we are getting into the summer, I should say spring, summer months. It's been feeling a little bit like summer. Anyway, just so that it's warm and it becomes more fluid. And of course you can use your silicone tool as well to take care of that. And so then what I like to do is I like to then hit it with my light. And then let's look and see what all we've got here. Okay, so let's pull out some fantasy flake here. I've got some 50, and I think we'll use some of the 108. And of course I've got some hollow bits. I love doing hollow bits. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. So now that we've got this cured, just gonna add a little bit more because I really want to layer. Ideally, layering is gonna create that depth. You know, I worked really hard to get Fantasy Flake to where it would have a lot of depth in it. So if you had to do a single layer, you could, but I do like to add more depth as much as possible. So anyway, yeah, so we'll just do a light coat there. All right, and we'll just sprinkle in a little bit of, if you haven't used the hollow bits, this is hollow bits. They're very reflective. And unlike holographic things that normally will dissipate once they've come in contact or been covered with resin, it'll disappear. These do not disappear. Okay, I love that. And let's see, I've also got a little bit, I don't know how that's gonna look with that, so let's do a little bit of 108. If you've not used any of our Fantasy Flakes, these are a scrunch to scale product. And what that means is you can use the bigger pieces, or you can take out a piece and you can put it in your hand or in a bowl or whatever, and you just start kind of crunching it up. And you can keep crunching it to get various sizes. So we're going to lay that in there. All right. Don't throw any of it away. I save all the bits. And I'm going to take some of number 50. We'll just scrunch a little bit of that up in there. And by all means, you know, you can use your little stylus or whatever. And now we're gonna take our light, we'll cure for just a second. We're not doing a thorough cure on this, it's just a light cure, just to kind of set everything. And then we'll put in another coat. And I literally have, you know, hundreds of different colors and variations for you to pick from. So let's see. I'll kind of lay in some of the bigger chunks. I'm just kind of seating them down in there where I think they'll look good. We'll add a little bit more of the hollow bits. Now I'm going to back this piece with some colored resin, so. Okay. And add in a couple more pieces of number 108. We're just going to add on some more. Now, when you're going to use the acrylic piece, we want it to just come to the top. We don't want to overfill it, but we need to fill it enough that it's going to make sure that it compresses and that it's going to vacate any bubbles that you might have in there. Now I see a bubble here. I just want to go ahead and get rid of it and make sure that we've got that kind of set down. Now, at this point, you can swirl in some mica powders if you want. But I think I want to do some orange. These are really pretty from Black Diamond. I could have mixed it in the cup, but I don't need to. Not for what I'm doing. I kind of like the thick and thin and not really mixed in kind of color. I kind of like that. So, all right. Now I'm going to take my piece. Let's make sure there's no bubbles. Okay. We're going to take it and you're going to start at an angle, not pressing, okay? Even though it's great because we've cured in between layers, I don't want to press too hard that I deform the mold, but I need to press enough that it starts to build on the surface. And we're just going to keep pushing and going all the way across. There we go. Just to get out all those bubbles. And then we'll press down and we'll cure. And that little bit that presses out is going to have a little tiny bit of flash, but it'll be easy to clear. And like I said, you can choose which side you want. It stair steps one direction, but it still looks good either way. The pieces will look good no matter how you use it. See? So it's really up to you. I like using all kinds of natural materials and things. This is some selenite. You could have chips of things, gold flakes, you name it. But with this one, we've used Fantasy Flake. All right, so now what I do is we'll just take and we'll just pop the mold off. Okay, we'll set that aside. And there's our piece. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and give it some more cure. Normally I have a little shelf, a little rack with my mirror in it that I cure in. And see, this is Fantasy Flake, and then it's just been backed with black. That's it. Okay. You'll hear that. If it doesn't pop freely from the acrylic, then it's not completely cured. Trust me when I say that. Because you can reuse this acrylic over and over and over again. See, and that's clean. If there's any little bit of residue, you can just kind of do a little bit of scrape on it, but that's it. So now we're going to take our fingers and we'll just peel off any of that little bit of flash that there was. I always send a little nail file, a little sanding file, and a polishing rag so that you could sand if needed to put your piece on. But for the most part, you don't have to. But there we have it.